You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series. My name is Andrew Mackay-Smith. Hope you are well. The interview subject, prepared for your listening pleasure, is Stevie D from the group Buckcherry. The catalyst for the conversation is Buckcherry's ninth studio album, titled Hellbound. It'll see the light of day on June 25th, 2021. Stevie and I had a bit of a chit chat about our families to kick things off before we got stuck into the conversation about the album. So here he is, Stevie D from Buckcherry. So, look, we'll talk about this album now, Hellbound. And look, I've got to say from the outset, it's a great rock album, as has been the tradition of the band since you've been in it. And it's got a very heavy metal album cover, which is just awesome as far as most of the people who listen to my podcast are concerned.
Uh-huh.
But look, in some ways, I think Hellbound is a new chapter for the band. But in other
Mhm.
ways, it's just a continuation, like I said, of what you guys have been doing now
Yeah.
for at least the 15 years or so that you've been in the band. And I think it does give you a very solid platform moving forward. But look, due to the strength of the album, it is a bloody strong album, by the way. Did
Mhm.
you, as a
Thanks.
band, did you approach Hellbound as the record that you needed to make, or was it just another record?
No. The reason being, like there's a lot of, if when you start the record making process, I think a lot of bands, and we're guilty of it too, saying like this is what it's going to be. We're gonna go after this market. We're gonna have this kind of sound,
Hmm.
uh, and it's really important. Like it's no secret that 15 and back then there was a lot of success for us, and people that have had that kind of success and sold a few million records, and if a later record doesn't do that, they want the next record to go after that kind of success, or we want this to be a comeback album, and
Hmm.
I think that's a big mistake, chasing anything. You know, I think what's the only thing that you can do is write. What we did was we said we're gonna write the best songs that we can write individually, and then after 2025 getting together with Marty Fredrickson, then he called it down to 10 that were cohesive and consistent with each other, and that's how we got that sound for this album. And yeah, we're really happy with the decision to go after it that way.
Yeah, I think possibly one of the strongest songs that has ever been created under the Buckcherry moniker is on this album, and that is No More Lies.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That I think for us showing the growth as songwriters, I
Hmm.
think that we've just had a lot of life experiences since 15 years ago, and that comes out emotionally in the songwriting.
Hmm.
Originally that song, the riff was written by Marty Fredrickson, and then Josh sang on it, and we were sitting back and wondering, well, okay. And we went. I went to Marty's house in his studio. I was like, you know what? Let's just wipe that track, leave the vocal, leave the click, and I just started playing riffs. And then he
Nice.
said, okay, play this, use this one here in the verse. And it was night and day. It was originally sounded like a more of like a Montrose, Bad Motor Scooter kind of song,
Hmm.
and then once we took all those tracks out, it landed more in a Led Zeppelin kind of Jamaica kind of.
Yeah, totally. I've got the Jamaica thing, but there's another aspect of that song. It's a lot of bands have gone for this sound. Led Zepp meets Oasis, and you nailed it with that song.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that was, that might have been as far as the strummy parts. Um, it's when you do those kind of suspended chords in a
Yeah.
strummy acoustic, I think a lot of people's ears that have heard Oasis or uh, would just make that kind of connection. But
Mm.
it's it's all based in Zeppelin for me. You know.
Yeah, I was just watching, just literally just before we got on the call, I was trawling through the your appearances on YouTube,
Hmm.
and you do a promotional piece for Gibson.
Yes.
You've obviously seen it because you were in it, but yeah,
I remember that one. I think it was, yeah,
but you talk about Led Zepp. I might get one of them wrong here, but definitely there was Angus Young,
yeah,
Jimmy Page, and there was one other guitarist. I think it was Keith Richards, I think.
yeah.
Yeah,
And-
and but I can hear that with you playing, and you said that you locked yourself away after a breakup. You
yeah.
studied, you got the modes down and the scales sorted, and you locked yourself away, and you do what I keep telling young guitarists to do. You got to work. And do you think that
Yeah.
period was the pivotal phase for you to become the guitarist that you are today?
Pivotal phase for me. You know, I think a lot for a lot of guys, in that high school time, if they go through a breakup and kind of get out of the mix, um, find kind of shelter in music. And I was lucky enough to have a guitar teacher that was, like could give me something to work on and
Mm.
concentrate on. Back in my day, there was no YouTube. You know what I mean? So, we had CDs and albums, and I would just practice and just for months play hours a day. And I still love guitar now, like I did back when I was a teenager. I just recently during quarantine. I was producing this rockabilly artist, and I went down the rabbit hole of learning all the ins and outs of what makes rockabilly playing great. So I found Brian Setzer and Chet Atkins and Merle Travis,
Mm.
and it's fun for me to just sit in front of the TV, just kind of working on those patterns. You know what I mean? Mindlessly. Probably drive everyone here crazy, but you know.
Yeah, it's got to be done though, isn't it? Because it's that muscle memory thing.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of what like what I was playing and getting into had never been under my hands before. The chord shapes, especially the right hand. I use a flat pick, and this was all based in, um, Travis picking, pedaling on the lower notes, like what Tommy Emmanuel does from your neck of the woods. You know.
Brilliant player, man. Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned him. Yeah.
He's the master of disaster. I can't there's a song called Cannonball Run. It's kind of the anthem of the thumb pickers, and
Mm.
like when I found that guy, I was just blown away. He's like the Yngwie Malmsteen of that style. Like
Mm.
it's like how do you even fucking do that? I had to, like get the playing speed slow enough so I could be to understand or wrap my head around what he was doing.
Yeah,
But
he's a
yeah,
he's a reincarnated European composer. I think that guy. He's just
yeah, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Like the things that you'll find, if you just, like my work ethic is the same as it was, and probably more intense. But I learned all how to do the woodshed when
Mm.
I was 16. You know.
Okay. Is that right? So you just when you say woodshed, for that's the way I look at that too, and I'm so glad you mentioned something else as well, which is that we didn't grow up with YouTube. We had to sit down, me being a bassist, listening to Jean-Jacques Brunel from the Stranglers with the
Yeah, yeah,
headphone up here and just going along and just trying to, or Bruce
yeah,
Foxton from the Jam, and
yeah, yeah.
just trying to figure that shit out. You had no other way to do it. Is
You
that
had no,
yeah? Is
yeah,
that what you
like
had to do as well?
yeah. There again, I was lucky enough to, when I was learning, like let's say Angus licks or Jimmy Page licks or any of that. There was no apps for an amazing slow downer. Um, there was no YouTube with a speed control, and like you could put on LP and slow it down, but then that would take the register and bring it down as well.
Hmm.
So I was lucky enough to have a teacher that he had I don't know, might have been a 4-track, something similar to a 4-track that he could turn the speed down and slow it down without lowering the register.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I could get those licks correctly, and that it was all up to me to work on the feel, you know.
Mm.
It's hard to do with Jimmy Page. He's got his own brand of slop that's genius.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, with he seems to play better drunk than sober. That's what I've
Yeah,
noticed with him. It's
yeah.
weird.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. Sure.
Hey, talking about the album again, or just about the band in general. So,
Mhm.
Billy Rowe is joining you these days on rhythm, and Francis Ruiz, I think you pronounce his surname there. This is his second album on drums. So,
Yes.
what in your opinion did they bring to the table this time around?
Um, it's they bring a foundation, a solidness to us in the live and the studio that not that we didn't have it before, but we had lost the players. A handful of players have quit at different
Mm,
times, and we had to find a replacement that we could also get along with for the other 22 hours of the day
yeah.
on a bus. You know, it's not that we couldn't find. Because there's tons of guitar players and as well as drummers here in Los Angeles. It's just we had to find um, players that we could get along with. What these two guys bring is solid. Like Billy Rowe. He's from a band called Jet Boy, and who are not unlike or dissimilar to Buckcherry.
Mm,
They were doing it back in '86, playing on the road with Guns N' Roses. Billy's playing is very Joe Perry. He covers all the areas that I don't. He's a great slide player. He's got Malcolm under his hands. He's a rock and roll historian, so he knows about especially rock and roll guitar. He brings all that, you know, in his playing. Same with Francis. He's been doing this. We've all been doing this the same amount of time. We're all around the same age. We kind of came up in the same area here in Hollywood,
mhm.
so it just fits. It's keeping this freight train rolling.
Do you still get asked about Keith in interviews?
I actually haven't. He's out there doing his thing, producing records, writing songs.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, I haven't been asked about him though. I hope
Mm.
he's doing good.
It's one of those things, though, isn't it? Just being a muso, that the people who are outside of the sphere of what you do can never understand that you're basically a professional traveller, and
Yeah.
the characteristics that you look for when you are recruiting are exactly what you said. You're looking for someone that you can get along with, and it can be pure hell. And I'm not saying that it was like that with Keith at all, but I'm simply saying
No,
it can
no,
be
no. And
absolute hell.
it wasn't like that with Keith. Like we're all brothers. Um, he just came to a point where I think the road wasn't for him anymore. Same with Kevin. It's pretty demanding, and it's been told to me by several different touring musicians that they don't pay you for the 2 hours that you're up there. They pay you for all the travel.
Mm,
You know because it's not easy, and it's not easy being away from and now we're older, and it's not easy being away from your family,
mm,
so yeah.
mm. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Uh, Question about the Philippines. I'm aware you've got a Filipino heritage,
Yes,
and
sir.
my mother-in-law is Filipino,
That, that
and my mother-in-law is from the Philippines.
oh, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so she's from Lapu-Lapu City.
Oh, okay. My grandfather is from La Union, and my mom is from Bacolod. But
Okay,
yeah, um, yeah. There's a big Filipino population there in Australia, right?
huge,
So
oh, massive. Yeah, 100. I wouldn't even be able to tell you, but I mean, you went almost to any environment,
mhm.
shopping center, whatever, workplace, whatever. There's going to be Filipinos there. It's just, I mean, it's
Yeah,
not that far away from us, is the
yeah,
reality.
yeah. Well, especially in the hospitals, right? That's how they kind of like segue, through nursing. in
And
medicine.
thank God for them. They call them the angels, you know that, because of their patience.
Oh, that's
You know,
sweet. That's awesome.
Filipino people, as you know, are blessed with eternal patience, I think. And we do, my wife being Filipino, we
I,
do talk about,
that might have been wasted on me. I don't know. I'm a fairly impatient guy, but yeah, I know a lot of people in that industry
mm.
um, that are just wonderful people. You know.
So do yourself, I don't know whether you know Rob Cavastani, he's got a Filipino heritage as well from Death Angel.
Well, yeah. Well, all of them. Well, at one point were
Yeah.
Filipino.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I've spoken to Rob about it as well, and I know that Filipinos are very proud when somebody with the heritage actually succeeds. So, have you got a bit of a following in the Philippines?
I don't know. We haven't. Every time that we kind of get out that way, the Philippines is kind of glossed over. We wanted to do a tour at one point, um, and it just never came up on the books for us. So
Hmm,
I would love to, I would love to book something out there and see my peeps. But we'll see if that can happen by 2021. You know,
definitely, yeah.
attach something to. Um, when we go to Australia, usually Japan is the next stop. So maybe we can fit the Philippines in there somehow. You know,
I only ever hear magnificent things of people that have performed in the Philippines, and they're
I
usually
hear
on
it's
those
great.
enormous festivals. Yeah,
I hear it's great, and over there they're very musical. You know what I
mm,
mean? They connect with a lot of the Western music. So I would love to make a stop and like make the last stop so I can like go visit for a couple weeks. You know what I mean?
nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, nice. Yeah, yeah. The Australia, then, have we been as I was aware of the band back in like 1999 or something like that. It was actually getting played on our version of MTV, which was called Channel V back then.
Uh,
So Australia has been a strong territory for you guys, or am I mistaken?
yeah. I for me, we went over and got a great response. We toured over there with Steel Panther,
Oh yeah.
and we came back with Hardcore Superstar. Every time it's a great experience. I think our heroes are, it's no secret that our heroes are AC/DC, and and I think a lot for that reason it comes out in the music, and a lot of people connect with that side of us, the four on the floor, the guitar riff. So I would, I always look forward to coming back.
Sweet. Well, we will too, mate. Especially when these it has to happen, of course, when these COVID restrictions are lifted, which apparently here is 2022.
Yeah,
Um, they're talking, so they're going to wait for a percentage of the population, I think, to be fully vaccinated. God
yeah.
knows when that's going to happen, but when
Are
that
there, is the vaccination available now?
uh, hot and cold. I think if you're a frontline worker, there's classifications of people. Someone like myself couldn't get it even if I wanted it because I'm not a frontline worker. I'm a journalist, so I do all my work from here. So I'm not really interacting with anybody. But
Right now, everyone over 18 is eligible to get it. So there's several different kinds. Um, the J&J was stopped for a second, but now is available as of I think today. But hundreds of thousands are already vaccinated. So
mm,
that's why the touring is possible now. More mandates and restrictions are being lifted, and so more shows are being booked through. We were or out of the gate. We have 100 shows from now until the end of the year. So I thought that
wow.
hopefully Canada and Australia will be the next to follow suit, and by November we could be out there. You never know. I heard that we might be out there by November.
Well, Kings of Leon are coming here next month. I think there's a couple of huge, these bands that are popular here and that are coming out. It's like, well, how the hell did they get, how the hell did they get to be able to do it and other bands can't? It must be,
I they might. I don't know. They might quarantine for 2 weeks while where they first
yeah,
get there, and then do that. That's always been an option. To go to Canada, you quarantine for 2 weeks in a hotel under your own dime, and then you can tour. But a lot of bands just won't do that.
No, it was too hard. I mean, God, imagine how much money you'd burn through.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, for an individual, I think they counted it at $2,000 or $3,000 for 2 weeks. That's room and board and meals from that hotel.
Yeah,
So
Netflix subscriptions and everything else too.
yeah, yeah, $10 a month or ten
Yes.
$5 a week. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. Well, mate, it's been a great chat. Congratulations on
Sure.
actually doing it. I say this often, but you guys that are up there on stage, mate, it means a lot to the rock and roll and the metal fans that you continue to do what you do because it is what we love.
Yeah, and we love to do it, and especially out there in Australia, we love to do it wherever in the world they're passionate about it, and they're definitely
Mm,
passionate about it in Australia.
definitely.
So
So
hope
hopefully,
to see you by the end of the year. Definitely next year. All right,
fingers crossed. Thanks,
Andrew.
brother.
Thank you. All right, man.
No worries. Pleasure.
Talk soon.
Catch ya. See ya.
Bye.
There he is, Stevie D from Buckcherry. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and I'm the host of this podcast series called Scars and Guitars. Thanks for tuning in.